Okay, so this next video is to work through your thoracic spine, which is your mid-back. So anything between the base of your neck and the top of your lower back. Okay, so it's kind of that section there. And if you can feel round your rib cage, you will come to the bottom of your thoracic spine. So we're going to use a peanut in particular, although worth having a tennis ball or 2 tennis balls in a sock, tie it nice and tight, and you can use this to replicate the peanut, but you can find this quite easily online and get one sent to your house. The other thing I have is a block or a foam roller, or you can roll up loads of towels so that you make a nice firm little bundle that's kind of a reasonable length long as well, because it's to lie over at the end. So we're going to first of all take your peanut and we're going to place it under where your rib cage meets your mid-back, okay? So we're not going into our lumbar spine, which is below the rib cage, we're just working through our thoracic. So can you see I've got the peanut literally either side of my spine. Okay, so we're going to use our arms and our legs to just roll through. You might find that your top gets caught up in it, so either worth wearing a long top or just tucking it into your trousers, or wear a onesie, either or. And we're just rolling through, so it's a bit like a rolling pin. Okay, and then what we're going to do is, because it's round that really crucial point where your rib cage meets your mid-back, which then meets your lower back, and you have something called your thoracolumbar fascia, which is a big diamond of connective tissue which we want to release off. So we can get right into there, and you might feel when you get to the top of your lower back, your lumbar spine, that you can feel it going through into your hip flexors. That's because your hip flexors join to your spine. And of course are linked in through the thoracolumbar fascia and the connective tissue, and they do actually have a connection through onto your diaphragm. So if you're struggling to breathe for any reason, it might be worth loosening off your hip flexors just to check that it's nothing mechanical. Okay, so we're going to start working through. We're now into, can you see, the middle of my thoracic spine, so I've just moved up a little bit. So also, unlike me, it's worth just facing forward as you do this and trying to keep your spine in as neutral position front to back as possible, okay, rather than turning to look at the screen. So maybe having the computer or TV at the bottom of your feet so that you can see. And then working through into the upper bit. So I'm now in between my shoulder blades, just the bottom of them, the corners. So I'm going to bring my arms across my chest to really expose the rib cage and the thoracic spine onto it, so that I'm not just blocking it with my shoulder blades. And you'll find it's probably a little bit more painful, especially as you get a little bit further up. So we're just now in the middle section, so you can put your hips down if you want to and just really work nice and solidly into there. And you can come through into some extension, so almost like a reverse sit-up, all the way through and releasing off. So you're going through into your rhomboids, into your lower fibres of traps, and so you might feel it referring through to the front of your shoulders or even through all the way to the very front of your shoulders if you're really unlucky. And that's fine. Okay, as long as you're not getting any numbness into your arms, that's fine. So we're now rolling up. So we're now kind of middle way up your shoulder blades. So again, taking your arms away in front of you to expose them, and you can pop your head down just to take the weight of your head out of the equation. And then coming into your upper back and the base of your neck, which can get really quite tight, especially from any computer work, and you might need to just readjust the peanut, remove ponytails and plaits. And can you see I'm just releasing off quite high up on my thoracic spine. Okay, and once you get there, then you can start to go over your head and back up, and move down over your head and back up, and move down, go over your head and back up, move down over your head and down. I'm going to just shift down the mat so that you can still see me and I don't escape out of shot. Over your head and back up, over your head and back up, over your head and back up. So we're just mobilising through our shoulder blades at the same time as working through the thoracic spine. So we're kind of creating a lock around there. And you can even go over to the side as you get to the top of your neck. And you can see I'm not turning to face you now, because it's really important, especially when you get around the neck, to really free off into a neutral position. And you can start to put your hands under your head and just come through chin to chest, move down, chin to chest. So it's like a little baby crunch. There's no ab work really involved. It's more of your neck muscles working through, with a slight tip on your rib cage. And remember to keep breathing all the way through, because the last thing you want is to fix the pressure in your lungs by holding your breath. Oh, that bit's horrible. And you may get a few clicks and clunks, provided they're not painful and you're not pressing too hard. Should be fine. Just be careful though, if you're prone to rib fractures or you've had a recent rib fracture, this probably isn't for you. And we're going right the way down to the bottom of our ribs again, coming through. As I say, it's not about challenging your abs, it's about more the reverse component of the ab crunch. Okay, once you get to the bottom of your thoracic spine, then you can start to work through one leg and then the other leg to really release off. And if you feel really confident, you can start to bring both legs up. Oh, that is horrible. So you can see the peanut is just at the base of my rib cage there, and you can even just try and circle your knees. This isn't for everybody. Or rock side to side. And come back down, nice and carefully. Okay, so I mentioned the block, the brick, foam roller, or a book or a towel rolled up. It's just so that you can use that long side of the block to then add. I'm just laying it along my spine, and I can just start to open through the chest, and you can take your arms higher to get a little bit more openness. And really breathe through. Expand your rib cage, so inhale nice and deeply, and exhale. Inhale nice and deeply, and exhale. And slowly come on up. And lastly, you can get the tennis ball or the peanut and just roll it down under the palm of your hand. So I'm just following my chest bone, so this bit here, down and releasing off all the tissue. Obviously it's slightly harder on females to get nice and low, but you want to just ease the tissue away from the sternum, from the chest bone. Give your chest bone space, and you can get along the collarbones. So that's a really nasty one into my pecs there. And you can get right the way up into pec minor, so that joins in about there, so where my top is just starting to come in, the black top. And you can follow it and chase it all the way up into that little dip between your humeral head, your arm bone, and your shoulder joint, and where it meets onto the body, the main trunk of the body. Both sides, chase it up all the way, just under the collarbone, rolling through, and then rolling under your hand into the pec minor. So just chasing it up along the strap. And releasing off. So, should feel nice and mobile through your thoracic, and you can just test that by going into a cat-cow and sitting and really releasing through, or onto all fours and again going through cat, head up, tail up, head down, tail under. So really pressing through each of the ranges. And then a really final thing to make sure that you have released all of your thoracic spine off is you can start to go over the top of your head with bent knees, it doesn't matter, and start to roll through your thoracic spine and rotate through each vertebrae, making sure that you're ironing out the kinks and the corners all the way through. At the very end, and do that a couple of times through as you wish. If you want to repeat anything that I've done, by all means just pause the video as you're going through and spend a little bit longer on each area that you are struggling with. I'm happy to do any one-to-one consults for anyone that's really struggling with these things, from a physio standpoint, or from a yoga standpoint, and really starting to focus on an individual approach. But for now, hopefully this helps you to release it off. As I said, if you've got any underlying conditions, it's always worth checking with your GP or physio that knows your body, has done a full assessment on you, and so they can perhaps point you in the right direction or say yay or nay to the video. But for the vast majority of us, and all those athletes out there that really just need to open up through their thoracic spine, this can really help. Hope you enjoyed the video.